How to deal with stress. Stress has a very bad reputation. We hear everywhere that it is necessary to fight with it in every possible way, otherwise it will have unfortunate consequences for our health and psyche. But it is a natural reaction of the organism to certain situations in our lives, and therefore it is also of great importance. And many of its short-term effects can be considered positive. Therefore, lately there has been talk of not only negative but also positive stress. And it's good to work properly with that. We all probably experience the feeling of stomach tightening, or chest pain and subsequent exhaustion in a stressful situation. But also excitement and nervousness, which usually appear at the same time as unpleasant physical manifestations. It is excitement in stressful moments that many of us even seek, either at work or in life in general. We like the state where the head, body and brain seem to work faster, the focus on the problem or situation reaches its peak, we just don't think about anything else and we work at the highest speeds like a well-oiled machine. Good and bad. Our body simply helps us to handle such situations and is well equipped for that. But beware, he manages it only for a limited time and only in a certain intensity, the degree of which is individual. Therefore, experts distinguish between the so-called good and bad stress, eustress and distress. The second one is explicitly harmful to us. During such intense experiences, the organism is struggling with excessive stress and often handicaps us in various ways. On the other hand, eustress is a burden caused by positive experiences, such as one's own wedding, the birth of a child or a promotion, but also an exam at school. Then we are stressed if we pass the exam, whether we manage to arrange everything so that the child is healthy, etc., but at the same time we are looking forward to overcoming the difficult situation and the result will be worth it. It is therefore primarily a vision of a positive result of this burden. What's happening to us? Eustress should have slightly milder manifestations than distress, but both produce the same hormones in the body, adrenaline and the dreaded cortisol, which in the long run can greatly damage the body and mind. In the short term, however, it increases the body's overall readiness and, among other things, ensures a sufficient supply of glucose to the brain, which so-called kicks it. Thanks to the catecholamines adrenaline and norepinephrine, our heart rate, pressure, muscle tension will increase, our muscles will be perfused, which is quite pleasant for everyone, at least for a short time. At that moment, the organism enters the mode of attack or escape. The moment we respond adequately, the stress reaction simply subsides. Strengthens immunity, strengthens relationships. Even more interesting is that according to research from Stanford University in the USA, thanks to this reaction of our body, our immunity increases, for example. So the problem is chronic or suppressed stress, which we can't handle. Challenging stressful situations have another surprising positive effect. They can improve interpersonal relationships. A little-known fact is that the so-called love hormone oxytocin is also secreted as part of the stress response. Under normal circumstances, it is released mainly during physical contact with a loved one, but also during childbirth, when it helps to overcome pain. But nature has ingeniously arranged it so that oxytocin commands us to seek support during the stress response, and so we tend to behave more socially. We are looking for someone to help us or who is in a similar situation so that we can overcome it together. This was also the focus of German researchers from the University of Freiburg, whose study suggests that stress can contribute to friendships. Beware of peace. Stress also increases performance, to some extent. According to the so-called Yerkes-Dodson rule, performance increases with mental or mental agitation, but only to a certain level. If this level is exceeded, performance decreases. So, even if we are friends with challenges, according to many experts, it is good to know what we are going through and when it is too much for us. In everyday life, it's not easy to have inner control and say to yourself, now I'm starting to feel uncomfortable. Where is the internal cause? And solve it, points out physiotherapist Richard Jisl, who takes care of the physical health and mental well-being of athletes and managers. It's not easy to say to the boss, "Thank you for offering me a job on Friday night, but I'd like to have time off. The week was challenging enough, so I need to regenerate my strength." Stress paradox. Being able to set boundaries is very important for a happy life, to find meaning in our behavior certainly. And stress comes with periods of life that we later consider significant. When psychologists ask about the most meaningful period of their clients' lives, these periods are often described as highly stressful. This phenomenon has been called the stress paradox. Kelly McGonigal, a psychologist at Stanford University, is thinking that we should change our perception of stress because of our peace of mind. He refers to a number of recent scientific studies and argues that stress is more harmful to a person if he perceives any of his signs negatively. Therefore, being aware of the extent to which stress benefits us can lead to better performance. It will also reduce the likelihood that we will get into mental and physical problems. Even when we are in a difficult situation and we call our mood excitement, not stress, for ourselves, our stress markers will decrease. According to Richard Jisl, we should also not exaggerate reactions to unpleasant stimuli. By reacting tensely or exaggerating, we get even more stressed. For example, if a rattle barks next to us, it probably won't do us any good. Typically, this may be repetitive petty nonsense in the work of colleagues. Under normal circumstances, we are reconciled to them and we generously cross them or laugh at them. After all, we are not without fault, but in the period when we are tired, overwhelmed and in trouble, we are indignantly perceived as absurdities that make our lives bitter and prevent our staying at work. But at that moment, all you have to do is take a few breaths, take a break, or, best of all, laugh at everything. We must not suppress emotions. Stress, which we do not process in ourselves, is attributed to the contribution to the deterioration of mental and physical condition. It can lead to depression, for example. Experts include increased blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, stomach ulcers and muscle cramps. The constant circulation of the hormone cortisol in the body can do a lot of trouble. In today's society, we are under a lot of pressure. We want to be assertive and good with everyone, says Richard Jisl, adding that unprocessed psychic impulses are especially fond of being stored in the muscles. For example, someone annoys you during the day and you say to yourself that you are better than him and you do not get upset. But the unpleasant feeling it evoked in you remains in you and is saved. Then such feelings accumulate when you are such a poppy. It is clear from this that we should be able not only to manage and overcome such feelings, but also how to expel them from the mind and body. Unhealthy relaxation. We know that we are constantly exposed to impulses that cause chronic stress. How to get rid of such a burden, or how to process it, is such a very inflected topic. And, of course, the fact that many of us break it down unhealthily. Some people tend to run away from themselves, such as running a marathon to get completely exhausted. The moment they get out of such exhaustion, they are happy to be alive. When a person gets into such great discomfort, he can cause a reaction that acts like a drug, warns the physiotherapist, adding that if we overload the muscles, they will cleanse but not eliminate the cause of stress and the whole cycle of excessive physical performance must be repeated. If we overload the body, it's not exactly healthy, concludes Richard Jisl. Chronic and unhealthy stress needs to be reduced. Techniques that help us get rid of the effects of chronic stress are more based on working with our own psyche and the ability to calm down. For example, there are various breathing exercises, and the direction of mindfulness is excellent, which teaches us to train mindfulness towards ourselves. There are also mobile applications that perform a stress response. Their quality can be very different, but one such is also being developed by Masaryk University in Brno. I am optimistic. I believe that in time our Western attitude will be connected with the Eastern one, says physiotherapist Richard Jisl, adding that it already works west of us and especially various Asian exercise methods of strengthening and relaxing body and mind become part of the local one of life. He includes Qigong in his practice, i.e. traditional Chinese exercises and martial arts. In the beginning, it motivates people to be kind and open to the world around them and to themselves. It deals with how to evoke such a feeling in yourself. If we create such an inner feeling, it will start to spill into us. It is important to realize that we do not feel comfortable and that we want to change it. Alcohol or chocolate releases, but we have to increase the doses, warns Richard Jisl. According to the physiotherapist, we should find the right level of relaxation not only at work, but also during sports, or not overloading ourselves. If you have liked our effort, please subscribe to our channel and click below the description link.